I was 19 when I started financially supporting my family. At the time, I didn't question it. My dad had just lost his job, my mom was picking up part-time shifts at the local diner, and my younger sister Kelly was still in high school. I had just started gaining traction as a live streamer. Video games, tech reviews, a little banter. What began as a hobby suddenly became a lifeline. The donations started rolling in, then came sponsors, affiliate deals, merch. Within a year, I was earning more than anyone in my family ever had. But success didn't come with respect. My dad always called my work playing pretend. He couldn't wrap his head around people paying to watch someone play games. Never mind that I had paid off their mortgage, covered Kelly's college tuition, and sent thousands each month to cover everything from groceries to utilities. In his eyes, I wasn't working. I was just a grown man wasting time in front of a screen. I brushed it off for years. That's what we're told to do, right? Keep your head down, be the bigger person, take care of your family, because that's what good sons do. I ignored the snide comments at Thanksgiving, the passive-aggressive remarks about real jobs, and the way they only seemed to reach out when money was involved. I figured maybe one day they'd understand. That day never came. Instead, it all unraveled with a single video. My sister, who I had helped through every tuition payment, every emergency, secretly filmed our parents laughing at me, mocking my career, calling my audience idiots. The video, posted on her social account, was titled, "When Your Brother Thinks Streaming is a Career." It racked up tens of thousands of views. I watched in silence as the people I'd supported for nearly a decade sat at the kitchen table and trashed me. Not in private, not out of frustration, but with smug amusement. That was the moment everything changed. I didn't yell. I didn't confront them. I logged into my banking app, transferred the remaining funds from our shared emergency account to my personal one, and wrote one line in an email: "There will be no more transfers. Ever." Then I hit send. It was the first time I chose peace over obligation, self-respect over family guilt. The fallout was immediate: calls, texts, even visits to my apartment. But for the first time in years, I stood firm, and for once I realized I didn't need their approval. I never had. They needed me, and I was finally done pretending otherwise. 3 days after I cut them off, my building's buzzer rang. The front desk called up, "Your father's here. He looks upset. Should we send him up?" I hesitated. My instinct was to say no, to shut the door on the years of ridicule, manipulation, and entitlement. But something inside me wanted him to see me now, so I said yes. When he stepped into my apartment, it was like I was transported back in time. Same angry face, same accusatory tone, same finger jabbing at my chest like I was a kid who left the door open too long. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he demanded. "Your mother's in tears. You cut us off without warning." I kept my voice steady. I saw the video. For a moment, he looked genuinely confused. Then it hit him. The mocking clip. The one Kelly had posted. The one where he called my streaming career a joke and mocked my viewers as idiots with no lives. The one that had 30,000 views. "That," he scoffed, "it was just a joke. Kelly was messing around. You're being too sensitive." There it was. Dismissal, deflection, the usual tactics. My chest tightened, but I didn't flinch. "A joke? You laughed at the job that's paid your bills for the last 8 years. He rolled his eyes. "Come on, Henry. You sit in a chair playing video games. It's barely a job." I felt something harden in me. I run a digital business. I manage contracts, audience engagement, partnerships. I've built something real, and I've been the only one contributing to this family financially for years. He didn't have an answer to that, just more guilt tactics. "We're your family. Family supports each other." "Support goes both ways," I said calmly. "When have you ever supported me, Dad?" He started to mention raising me, feeding me, basic parenting, the minimum. I cut him off. "And I've paid it back 100 times over." That's when he showed his true colors. "What about the cruise your mom's planning? We already put down the deposit." I couldn't help but laugh. "Not my problem." He sputtered. "We have bills, Kelly's tuition. She's 24. She can take out loans like everyone else." His anger turned into something else then. Fear, desperation, pride, all colliding in real time. "This isn't over," he warned. "It is for me," I said, guiding him toward the door. He tried one last line, the one that used to work when I was a kid. Family is everything. No, I said. Self-respect is everything. I just wish I'd learned that sooner. I closed the door behind him. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the bad guy. I felt like a man who had finally drawn a line and meant it. 3 days after cutting off my family, my apartment buzzer rang. The building manager's voice crackled through the intercom. "Your father's here." Should I let him up? My gut clenched. I hadn't seen or spoken to him since I sent the email, the one with the video link of him mocking me, along with the line, "There will be no more transfers." Ever. For years, I'd been the lifeline. My streaming income paid their mortgage, Kelly's tuition, and covered every so-called emergency they couldn't handle. But behind closed doors, and now, publicly, they laughed at what I did. My job, my success, everything I'd built was nothing but a joke to them. Still, I didn't flinch. "Send him up," I told the doorman. Minutes later, 3 sharp knocks rattled my front door. I opened it to see him, red-faced, tense, the same towering figure that had intimidated me as a teenager. He pushed past me like he owned the place. Old habits die hard, I guess. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he barked. "Your mother's beside herself." I stood still, arms crossed. I saw the video. He paused, just for a second, before brushing it off. "Oh, that? Just a joke." Kelly was messing around. My voice stayed calm, too calm. 30,000 people watched you laugh at me. That's not a joke, Dad. That's who you really are. His jaw tightened. "Don't be so sensitive. You sit at home playing video games. It's not exactly a real job." That was it. 8 years of this. 8 years of being treated like a punchline while paying their bills. "I've built a business," I said. "I've supported you, Kelly, Mom, and not once have I heard a thank you." "You think you're better than us now?" he shot back. "You've got your little internet fans and think you don't need family?" "I'm choosing myself," I said, for the first time. He looked at me like I'd just confessed a crime. "What about the cruise? Your mother already made the deposit." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The entitlement. The assumption. "Not my problem," I said. He went quiet then, and for the first time, I saw it. The look of someone who'd realized the game was over. No more guilt trips, no more handouts, just boundaries. Before he left, he tried one last time. "You'll regret this," he muttered. "Family is everything." I didn't flinch. Respect is everything. And I closed the door behind him. When Henry stood face to face with his father, a man who once made him feel small with just a glare, something inside him had already changed. The man at the door wasn't just his father anymore. He was a symbol of everything Henry had tolerated for too long: mockery, manipulation, and conditional love. For 8 years, Henry had silently shouldered the financial weight of his entire family, pouring nearly $1 million into their bills, tuition, and even their vacations. All of that while enduring ridicule for his career as a streamer, labeled by his father as not a real job. But now, with the viral video of his family laughing at his expense circulating online, the facade was shattered. Henry finally saw it for what it was: a one-sided relationship built on convenience and control. As his father stormed into his apartment demanding to know why the money had stopped, Henry didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The power dynamic had shifted. For the first time, Henry wasn't the obedient son trying to earn approval. He was a man who had found his voice and the courage to use it. When his father dismissed the video as a joke, Henry saw right through it. It wasn't just about the video. It was about the years of passive insults, the backhanded compliments, the way his family had minimized his success while benefiting from it, the way his father scoffed at his career, calling it just video games while simultaneously using his income to book Alaskan cruises, was the final slap in the face. What made the moment so powerful wasn't just that Henry said no. It was that he said it without anger, without regret. He calmly drew a boundary that had been missing his entire life. "I'm your son, not your bank." The words hung heavy in the room. His father sputtered with disbelief, tried to guilt him with talk of family, but Henry didn't budge. The line had been crossed too many times. "Support," Henry said, "goes both ways." And for 8 years, that had never been the case. When his father slammed the door and stormed out, something remarkable happened. Henry didn't feel guilt. He felt peace. He didn't collapse into tears or second-guess his decision. Instead, he walked to his computer, sat down at his streaming setup, and did what he did best: shared his real self with a community that had never judged him for his dreams. That night, as thousands watched his stream, Henry smiled. Not because he had won some argument, but because he had finally chosen himself. For 8 years, I gave them everything, only to learn I was nothing more than a paycheck. I never asked for much, just a little respect, maybe a thank you once in a while. But what I got was silence when I succeeded and laughter when I turned my back. At 27, I had built a thriving career as a content creator and live streamer. 5 million followers, tech sponsorships, and a six-figure income. But to my family, it was always a phase, a hobby, or worse, a joke. And then came the video. My sister posted it, probably thinking it was funny. In it, my dad mocked my job, doing a crude impression of me hunched over a keyboard. "I'm a big-time gamer," he said in a whiny voice. "Look at me, playing pretend for strangers on the internet." Laughter followed. My mom chuckled. My sister added a caption that cut deeper than she knew. "When your brother thinks streaming is a career." I watched that video 3 times, not because I couldn't believe it, but because I could. Deep down, I always knew how they saw me. What hurt most wasn't just the words. It was knowing that the people I supported, the ones whose mortgage I paid, whose tuition I covered, whose emergency bills I handled without hesitation, never once saw my work as real. I was just a credit card with a face. That day, I shut it all down. I emptied the shared emergency account, nearly $900,000 I had earned and earmarked for them, and transferred every penny into my private savings. Then I sent them the video with a simple message: there will be no more transfers, ever. The silence that followed was deafening for about 10 minutes. Then came the calls, the texts, the angry emails. My father showed up at my door 4 days later, red-faced and livid. "Family supports each other," he shouted. "Yes," I replied calmly. "Support goes both ways. When have you ever supported me?" He had no answer. That was the moment I stopped being their son and started being my own person. It's been 6 months since then. I still stream. I still smile for my fans. But I do it for me now, not for the approval of people who never valued me. I've built a life that I'm proud of, one where I no longer fund the disrespect of those who refuse to see my worth. And if one day they come back, not for my money, but with real apologies, I might be willing to listen. But until then, I've learned the most important truth of all. Respect isn't something you owe your family. It's something they earn. After years of blind generosity, I finally saw the truth. I wasn't a son, a brother, or even a person in their eyes. I was a wallet. It all came crashing down the moment I opened that video. My father's voice, sharp and mocking, filled the screen. My sister had secretly recorded him sitting in our childhood kitchen, laughing with my mother about how my little gaming hobby paid their bills. "What kind of idiots actually pay him?" he scoffed. "Playing games isn't a real job." And my mother? She just laughed, adding, "Well, at least he's good for something." 8 years. 8 years of sending monthly transfers, covering mortgage payments, college tuition, hospital bills, even their dream vacation plans. And they thought so little of me, they didn't even try to hide their contempt anymore. My sister, who I paid through grad school, posted that video publicly, mocking my career as a streamer to a following of 30,000 viewers with the caption, "When your brother thinks playing video games is a real job." It hit me harder than I expected. I'd always sensed it, the quiet dismissals, the lack of respect, but seeing it there, spoken aloud, shared as entertainment, it shattered me. I wasn't a person to them. I was an ATM with a Wi-Fi connection, and in that moment, something inside me snapped. I transferred every dollar from our shared emergency account, $887,000 I had saved through years of relentless work, and moved it to my private account. Then, I wrote the last email I'd ever send them. There will be no more transfers. Ever. What came next was predictable. Calls, texts, emails, even a visit from my father, full of rage and entitlement. "We're your family," he said. "You owe us." But no, I didn't. What I owed was to myself. the respect I had been denying myself for years, the boundaries I had never dared to enforce. The guilt trip didn't work this time. I didn't flinch. Instead, I looked him in the eye and said, "Support goes both ways, Dad. When have you ever supported me?" For the first time in my life, I felt free. I wasn't trapped in the role of provider anymore. I was a successful, self-made adult, choosing peace over performance, dignity over dysfunction. That decision didn't break my family. It revealed they were already broken. It was a quiet Sunday evening when it arrived. Henry was wrapping up his latest stream, editing clips for his highlights reel, when he noticed a new email notification. The subject line read simply, "From Dad." His stomach flipped. He hadn't heard from his father or anyone in the family for nearly a year. Not since the night he cut them off, pulled his $887,000 from the shared account, and disappeared behind silence and blocked numbers. With hesitation, Henry opened the email. No message, just a video file attached. He stared at the screen for a long moment. Part of him wanted to delete it. Another part, a smaller, quieter one, told him to press play. He clicked. There on the screen was his father. He looked older, more tired. His hair was grayer than Henry remembered. His eyes, usually sharp and full of judgment, were softer, almost sad. "Hey, son," his dad began, voice low and trembling. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I need to say something I should have said a long time ago." Henry sat still, every muscle in his body tense. "I was wrong," his father continued, eyes wet with something Henry had never seen in him before, remorse. "I was wrong to mock your work, to let your sister post that video, to act like what you did didn't matter. Truth is, I was jealous. You did everything I couldn't. You built something from nothing. And instead of being proud of you, I let my own failure turn me into someone I never wanted to be." He paused, breathing shakily. "I know we treated you like a wallet, not a son. I know we only reached out when we needed help. That's on me. I made you feel invisible, like your value came with a dollar sign. And for that, I'm truly sorry." Henry's chest tightened. "I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking you to come back. I'm just asking, if one day you find it in your heart to talk, to just text even, I'll be here, as a father, not as someone who wants anything from you." The video ended. Henry sat there, staring at the frozen last frame of his father's face, a mix of shame and hope etched into every wrinkle. He didn't cry, he didn't smile, but something deep inside him shifted. For the first time in his life, his father had acknowledged the truth, not excuses, not manipulation, just a raw, honest admission of guilt. And that meant something. Henry didn't reply to the video, not right away. He watched it twice, once with a clenched jaw and again with a quiet ache in his chest. His father's apology had been raw, heartfelt, and shockingly honest. But something inside Henry had changed. He wasn't that desperate 19-year-old anymore, begging for scraps of approval. He had boundaries now. He had a life built on respect, one that didn't revolve around being needed or used. He sat by the window of his high-rise apartment, the skyline glowing in the distance. Just a few years ago, this would have been a dream too big to imagine. Now it was real. Every square foot of it paid for with his own hands, his own hustle. He picked up his phone, typed a response, then deleted it. Not yet. Henry realized something that night. Walking away hadn't been an act of revenge. It had been an act of self-love. Cutting ties wasn't about punishing his family. It was about protecting the version of himself he'd fought so hard to become. The version that knew his worth. He started therapy again, this time not to fix what was broken, but to understand how it had shaped him. He talked about the guilt, the years of emotional neglect, the subtle manipulations masked as family loyalty, and he talked about the apology. His therapist asked him a simple question that stuck with him. Do you feel safer with them in your life, or without them? Henry knew the answer. Weeks turned into months. The messages from his mom and sister slowed, then stopped. There were no more guilt trips, no more emergencies that suddenly required his bank account. It was quiet, and oddly, peaceful. One day, he passed by a cafe he used to sit in when he was broke, applying for online tutoring gigs. He stepped inside, ordered the cheapest coffee out of habit, and sat near the window. He looked around and realized he wasn't angry anymore. Not at them, not at himself. Forgiveness didn't have to mean reconnection. Sometimes forgiveness was just letting go of the hold the past had on you. Eventually, Henry wrote a short message to his dad. "I heard what you said. I appreciate your honesty. I'm not ready for anything more right now, but I needed you to know I heard you." He didn't expect a reply, and that was okay, because healing, Henry had learned, wasn't a one-time decision. It was a process, a quiet, stubborn act of choosing yourself over and over again. And he wasn't doing it for them. He was doing it for the boy who grew up thinking love had to be earned by sacrifice. He knew better now. Real love, the kind worth keeping, doesn't come with conditions. And family? Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up, respects your boundaries, and loves you without asking for proof first. When walking away is the most loving thing you can do, sometimes the hardest thing you'll ever do is choose yourself, especially when the people you're walking away from are your own family. Henry's story is more than just a tale of betrayal and success. It's about something deeper, something that so many people carry quietly, the longing to be seen, heard, and respected by the people who are supposed to love us unconditionally. But what happens when that love is conditional? What happens when you're only valued when you're useful, only contacted when there's a problem you can fix? That's when a boundary becomes more than just a line. It becomes a lifeline. One of the most powerful lessons from Henry's journey is this: you can love someone and still choose to walk away. You can forgive someone and still not let them back into your life. Healing doesn't always mean reconciliation. It means reclaiming your voice, your worth, and your peace. In American culture, we're often taught that family is everything. But that phrase can become a prison when it's used to justify emotional abuse, manipulation, or exploitation. Real family, chosen or biological, should uplift you, not drain you. They should be proud of you, not ashamed of how you choose to live, love, or succeed. Henry learned that the hard way, but he also learned something beautiful. Your worth isn't determined by who approves of you. Your value isn't measured in dollars sent or sacrifices made in silence. You don't owe anyone access to your life just because they share your last name. And maybe that's a message someone out there needs to hear today. If you're constantly being made to feel like you're not enough, if you're only contacted when you're needed, or if your success is met with jealousy instead of joy, maybe it's time to reevaluate who gets a seat at your table. Set boundaries without guilt, heal without permission. And remember, choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. If Henry's story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved for the sake of your own peace? Don't forget to like, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Reddit Family Files for more real, raw stories that hit close to home. Your story matters, and here it's safe to tell it.